You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Well, hey, when you look at what's happening in the market, in real estate, in so many other areas, it can be a bit disheartening. Money was easily made for the past decade, but maybe not so much now. Perhaps you need to become a startup junkie, like my next guest, Adam Tank. Adam, it's great to have you on. Well, you call yourself a serial founder. I call that a startup junkie. You've really done a lot. You worked for corporate America and then blew that off. You've done a lot. So tell us, what is next? What are you working on now? And what's your advice to people who are kind of standing on the sidelines trying to figure out what you should do?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Kerry. So as you mentioned, I used to work in the corporate world, and it was something that was beat into me early on from my parents. Take the job that's going to pay you every 2 weeks. You get good benefits. You never want to be, never want to make a risky move and bet on yourself as a business owner or an entrepreneur. And I finally got fed up with it and spun a company out of the General Electric Corporation when it was still a big behemoth, and ended up selling that. And then off the success of that, have rolled that into other, tech startups. And what I would say is, and again, advice typically is only good for yourself, so take it with a grain of salt. I wish I would have bet on myself a lot sooner. I think that there's a lot of risk management that happens when you make your own bet on yourself. And a lot of people see the entrepreneurship route or the small business route as being more risky. You're not being taken care of by a big company or the big overlord. That's just simply not the case. And look at what's happening in the market today, not just in terms of stock prices, but also the massive rounds of tech layoffs that are happening, which is a space that I play in. Folks that thought that their jobs were safe, these high paying, lucrative jobs, crazy perks, crazy benefits, they're gone, overnight.
Yeah, I mean, look at all those dearly departed from Twitter. Yeah. All in one day. Well, they've known for a while that they were in jeopardy, but they kind of probably couldn't find the way out, couldn't find an exit. But Musk is being generous. He's given them 3 months' pay, which is twice as much as the others. But the key is not to find yourself in that situation in the first place, right?
You bet. Yeah, and I think in the cases of, again, I've been in the tech industry for over a decade now, so most of the experience and expertise I have lends itself to the tech environment. A lot of these jobs, the skills that you're learning, you can use to basically place small bets outside of the traditional 9 to 5, and you can make yourself much more diversified in terms of your revenue stream and then also potential future employers. So what a lot of people don't do that I think they should be doing is thinking about, how do I create a product or service that lends itself well to my expertise that I've developed inside of a big tech company that I can sell on the side. You can create an ebook, you can become a consultant, you can create courses. This whole idea of the creator economy is something that not a lot of people are participating in. And I think it's unfortunate, because when you find yourself in the example of these Twitter folks that are now gone, they were being paid, 200, 300 grand a year. Those are skills that they could have been selling on the side the whole time. And they probably could get full-time employment based off of them, or at a minimum, consulting on the side, which would have at least helped them from a revenue perspective, income perspective, in a time like this.
Yeah, well, there is a big demand out there for internet censors, so they should land on their feet, right?
I would think so. It's funny because the industry I'm in now, I'm in tech, but I'm in infrastructure, and there's so much money available for the built world. And we can't hire enough. We have, 5, 10 open positions at any given time. We cannot hire as fast as we're putting positions out there. And I know that's the case for a bunch of other companies too. So, for folks that are being laid off, especially if you've been in tech, I would take a close look at industries that are a bit more resilient. You're looking at water, you're looking at power, you're looking at stuff that people have to live. Generally, you're going to be in a safer spot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. So, what about for people in college now? What should you be doing in college?
Oh, this is interesting, Kerry. I'm curious to get your perspective too. If college is still worth it nowadays. What I would say is, again, place bets on yourself. And what I mean by that is go out and actually do things. Don't just sit back and listen to lectures. Don't just sit back and read textbooks. Don't just, party all the time, although that's a lot of fun too. Don't get me wrong. What you need to do is actually involve yourself in projects. Get as close to real world experience as you can. It could be an internship. It could be research on campus. It could be creating your own business on the college campus or working with a small business owner in whatever city that you're in. But do as much as you can in the real world before you have to make that leap, because then you'll find out what you actually want to do.
Mm-hmm. So experience is the best teacher
100%.
For your career as well as anything you do. Yeah, what do you think was the worst move you ever made during your career, Adam?
I'd say the worst one would have been going back to work for a big company. So I worked for General Mills right out of school, early in my career, was a quality engineer, microbiologist for them. And I moved to Rio about 2 years into that role. And what I found out was I love the small business environment so much more than the corporate world. And when I moved back to the US, I actually ended up going to graduate school, getting an MBA, and then working for General Electric. And I should have known that I wouldn't enjoy the big company culture. I was tired of being a PowerPoint jockey. And granted, I've done really well since then, so I'm happy that I did it. But I think I would have been much further along in my career had I gone to the small business environment or created my own business after moving back to the States.
That's cool. Yeah, my biggest mistake was going into the family business and staying there as long as I did.
Interesting.
It paid off, but I know it could have, my time, opportunity cost way outweighed the benefits I got there. But I can't complain. Owning your own business, running your own business, that's what I'm about.
Yep.
So what about your best move?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has an excellent shareholder base with Ross Beatty owning 20%, insiders 5%, and Resource Capital Funds 8%. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network. The information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Best move would have been taking the leap internal to General Electric to actually make the move to get out. And it's sort of a convoluted story, but I'll make it simple. You're familiar with Shark Tank, the show, I would assume. Okay. So General Electric ran an internal Shark Tank. So they opened up this competition to the 100,000 plus people that used to work inside of GE. And they said, we'll take the top 10 ideas that are submitted. We'll run them through General Electric Ventures, their investment arm. We'll have them present to the chief marketing officer of General Electric. And then the person that wins this will actually will fund this business as a venture capital backed business, and they will get to go run it in Silicon Valley. And I ended up putting an idea out there, was one of the top 10, went and presented to the top brass, and then won this competition internal to GE. So they funded my startup, and I got to actually basically extract myself from the company, spin out a robotics business, and I ended up selling that later, 3 years later to a publicly traded company. That was by far the best move I ever made.
Yeah. So were you tempted to go back to GE with another idea and let them finance you, or you didn't need them anymore?
I think their venture capital arm is imploded. So, and I mean, really the whole company more or less has. So I don't know that I could go back to GE, but I think if I went back to a big company, it would have to be in a role which was a little more, I call it like thought leader. It's kind of wishy-washy. But to me, you go to a big company when you're ready to sort of relax, in my opinion, based on my experience. You want to sort of hide in a corner, right?
Yeah.
Not get a whole lot done, deal with the bureaucracy. So it'd be a lifestyle decision. That's the only reason I'd ever go back.
Okay. I could buy that.
Yep.
Yeah. So the idea of starting your own business, but having that background with a big company gives you a head start, don't you think, when you start?
I would say so. Yeah. And so, I mean, Kerry, one of the things I learned being a part of big businesses was there's a reason they got big. They've developed phenomenal processes and systems across the board, finance, HR, sales, marketing, et cetera. And when you're exposed to those early in your career, you oftentimes internalize those lessons, even though you don't realize it at the time. And you take it to the small business that you're building or you're, being a part of. And oftentimes you can take that small business to the next level of growth because the processes and systems those big businesses have built are meant for scale. And you can't ever grow a small business to the point of scale unless you put those processes and systems into place. So it's a great learning environment.
So true, man. So true. It's not like what you used to do, but big companies, though, also have the analysis paralysis or paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's the negative there, obviously.
Yes. I agree. Completely agree. Yeah. It almost stifles me how these big businesses continue to survive. And many aren't, but just the layers of bureaucracy, the fact that many of the people who are in the front lines that need to make decisions are so far removed from the incentives that the executives are privy to. I think the misalignment of incentives creates huge problems, not only internally for employees, but also in the markets. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that today.
All right. So let's look at a really successful business, started small scaled, talking about Tesla.
Yes.
That seems to me, that's like a big company I think I could work for, although not that I'm looking for a job, mind you. But when I look at how quickly they make changes, like on the average Tesla, there's like 23 changes a week or a month. You go to like GM or Ford or any other big auto manufacturer, legacy manufacturer, I guess, at this point, and they don't even make 23 changes during the model life, the life of a newly released model, and the ability to like do those over-the-air software updates. No other car companies even come close to this. So it seems like they've embraced change in a way that enables them to jump on the change before anyone even realizes it's happening.
I would say that is true. And I think that whether it's Elon or the group of people he hired around him, I think from the beginning, they viewed their business model as software first, that's wrapped in a beautiful piece of hardware. And all the other legacy manufacturers are the complete opposite. We have this chassis and frame and engine, et cetera, that we built over decades and decades and decades. And then we're going to put sensors and software into it. But Tesla is a software business. I mean, that's effectively what they're doing.
Yeah, so true. So true. When you look at all the problems the world's going through now with supply chains, with energy, all these things, does that open up opportunities that wouldn't otherwise have been there?
I 100% think so. I think that to be honest, the best time to be greedy, if I can use that word, is in exact times like now. It's buying season, it's investment season, it's, the best opportunities are created in some of the most challenging environments. And I think we're going to see a new vintage of startups cropping up this year, probably and next. And in a decade from now, we'll have to get back on the show and we'll have to talk about if this prediction is correct.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see the Googles, the Facebooks, the et ceteras that come out of this. I mean, one, massive tech layoff, and then two, there's still a bunch of dry powder of cash available to invest in these entrepreneurs. I think you're going to see a lot of folks starting some big businesses today.
Right. Yep. I totally agree with you. So people want to find out more about what you're doing, Adam, connect with you on the web. Do you have a way to do that?
Yeah. AdamTank.com. You can check me out on LinkedIn as well, but AdamTank.com, there's a submission form there. Let me know. As we mentioned earlier in the show, I do invest in small businesses. I advise small businesses, especially around sales and marketing practices. And I love seeing entrepreneurs succeed because, again, I wish I would have taken that bet on myself. So anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Really appreciate that. And I hope you out there realize the generosity of Adam's offer, because to have somebody who succeeded multiple times over in startups is rather unusual. Most people, they get a startup that works and they stick with it, and that becomes their life, effectively tied to the company, might not know how to scale it, all these other things. I think that's really a major offer. If you got a question for Adam, please shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com, and make sure you sign up for your free newsletter on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. And Adam, appreciate it. And please come back again soon.
You got it, Kerry. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.